Hey,
Hey.
what's up, dude?
What's up, dude?
We're back
Yep.
after a little bit of a longer wait than the last couple episodes.
I blame you.
But we're back. We're back. Better than ever. It's actually pitch black outside. This is
Yeah.
the latest we've actually recorded this.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, just kind of a more relaxed feeling here right now. You know, just kind of taking it back. End of the day. We've had actually a long couple days. I know you and I are both
Holy crap.
kind of in recovery.
Our
mode
sleep
from
schedules
that.
are messed up.
So I went to bed at 7:30.
Oh, man. I went to bed at like 6:30.
I couldn't sleep. It took me a minute, but
Dude.
yeah. So we both went to bed around 6 or 7 o'clock this morning, and woke up
I woke up at like 11:30.
like 12 or
12:30.
1. So yeah, not the
Yeah.
best sleep schedule. Not one that we recommend. But hey, you know,
It was
we
for a
made it
good
work.
cause.
We just got done shooting a short film.
Almost
well,
done.
not done. Almost done.
Yeah.
The original plan was for it to be 2 overnights. We need one more. Couple hours. Not a full overnight.
Oh,
like
no.
3 or 4 hours.
Yeah.
We're in the home stretch.
almost
But that's been a lot of fun. You know, it's taken a lot out of us, but it's been a great experience.
I
and,
mean, It flew by on those two shooting days, especially last night.
yeah, it was.
or
crazy.
technically this morning and last
Mhm.
night.
Well, because we shot actually at your dad's house.
Yeah.
And it felt like inside that house time moved faster or
Differently.
something.
You know,
Like,
Interstellar? That's that house.
yeah, something like that. I mean, it was it was wild. It was like
Yeah.
we blinked and it went from
Like
like
9
9
to 2.
o'clock to 4 in the morning immediately. It was.
Yeah, it was.
I mean, look, I'm not gonna complain about that. It means that
we're doing what we love, and
Yeah. Hey,
Yeah.
you know what they say? Time flies by when you're having fun.
that's right.
So I mean, I guess that means we're having fun. I was having fun. So.
Yeah, at least the
It
first
was-
night.
It was great. So, but yeah, we actually mentioned this project a couple episodes back.
We did.
I think first episode we brought this up, and so we finally got around to shooting our Scream short film.
Yeah.
And what it basically is it is a retelling, kind of in our own way, of a Scream cold open. Every Scream film opens with a cold open.
Mhm.
You know, a character who ends up getting killed by Ghostface, you know, the one and only. And we kind of found interesting and fun ways to put our own unique spin on it
Heck yeah.
and do some things differently, which, you know, maybe you could go into a little bit as well. I know.
Yeah.
I mean, I know as an actor and you know, you play the lead. And you get to do some pretty fun things with
Yeah.
your character. So
was fun.
some of which we have yet to shoot. And it's
yeah,
going to be a lot of
that's-
fun.
That's
For sure.
that's
So,
tomorrow, or no, in 2
yeah,
days.
Yeah, 2 days. 2
Yeah.
days time. So, and this is something we've talked about doing for a while.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, sometimes really what it boils down to is, you know, my production company, Moyd Entertainment.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we do short films and you know, among other projects too. You know, we do some real estate content and some other things, but really it's a creative focus. And so what we found is sometimes it feels like we spend too much time planning and trying to get a project, you know, just right before we shoot, and it's like we spend all this prep time, all this time in pre-production.
Sometimes you gotta run before you can walk.
And sometimes, yeah, I mean, sometimes you just got to grab a camera and just shoot something. And so what we had talked about doing for a while was, you know, maybe getting an Airbnb, going out of town for a weekend, and just, you know, going wild with some ideas. And really a horror film was the idea. You know, let's get an Airbnb. Let's have a house to ourselves for a weekend. And we're going to take this horror film to the next level.
Mm-hmm.
And we had talked about doing Scream, and it, you know, we really liked the concept, and we ended up kind of turning it into something a little bit more in depth. But I think it's really paid off. I think it's been a really cool project. So
Yeah. Well said.
not an Airbnb, your dad's house.
Next best thing.
He was willing to let us use it. So
Yeah. What a G.
so yeah, it was a, you know, it's been fun so far. And I guess, you know, that's kind of where this project came from, is we
Mhm.
wanted to just create, you know, we wanted to just kind of go all out with it.
Yeah.
Do some really fun and interesting things. I mean, there's some really cool shots.
Oh, yeah.
That we've got with this.
Dude.
So,
Yeah, last night we had is a part in the film that was the most difficult shot in the film, and I mean we got it.
yeah, that
So-
was a and we'll get more into the specific shots here in a little bit. But
Yeah, once it comes out.
there
too,
there
so.
were multiple moving parts to this shot that made it a little bit tricky. It's by far the most ambitious shot
Yeah.
of the short. When did we first come to you with this project? Do you remember for the Scream short film?
Technically, when you came to me, it wasn't even Scream at all. It
That's right.
was a couple survival short out in the woods. Kind of glad it was changed though, because I did like this. It was cool.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. So I'd say a good few months ago.
Okay.
Good few months ago.
Yeah, I know the original plan, I think, was to do something outside in the woods
Mhm.
and have it be a survival.
Oh, I'm glad we didn't.
Well, what it came from, it was this whole idea of, okay, we're gonna take some cameras out in the woods and
Yeah.
we're gonna get these super pretty shots of these meadows and these vistas, and we're gonna really flex our visual muscles here and try and make something really pretty, and it'll be easy, and we just didn't like the direction. We didn't like where it was going, and so we had a couple pages of script written. It wasn't bad. It just felt like we were just doing it to do it. There wasn't really any real intention behind it. So
Mhm.
we pulled the plug and we went 180 with it, and we ended up doing a Scream fan film.
Yeah.
And I'm happy we did, because it's been great. I know at first you were kind of confused. You were like, okay, well, this is
Yeah,
really...
because surprisingly, or it may come off as a surprise, but I've never seen any of the Scream movies. I'm not a
Mhm.
horror guy. Like, I did see a few of the episodes from the TV show
Sure.
that our cinematographer showed me like last year, but yeah, it was kind of good going into it fresh though.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, for sure. What would you say you typically gravitate towards as as an actor?
Yeah.
Like when you sit down and watch something, what do you find yourself kind of gravitating towards?
I like I like movies with strong performances. Doesn't always have to be like monologues.
Mhm.
But like Prisoners is a good example. That whole movie is
Yes.
just
Great movie.
tense as fuck. But also Ford versus Ferrari is really good. It's one of my favorite movies.
Mhm.
That movie is obviously Christian Bale's in it. It's good, but like he does really good. I can't remember his character's name. I'm a car guy and I can't remember the guy's name.
Yeah, that's what I haven't seen.
But
so I can't
Matt
tell you.
Damon plays Carroll Shelby.
Mhm.
Mr. Performance is my business. And at first I was like, yeah, every time I see Matt Damon in the movie. And this time it wasn't like that. And that's an example of it was pretty good. Like it was
That's a good point. I never thought about that. Matt Damon really does seem like Matt Damon in
Yeah.
almost everything.
and
he
that's
does.
just because he's been in a bunch of stuff. Like
It's
and
also just Matt Damon. I
Yeah.
don't know. It's just
I mean, it's not like The Rock. How it's just like you see The Rock in a movie, and
Yeah.
he doesn't change.
that's in a league of its own.
Yeah, this is like I was glad to see he came off as like Carroll Shelby, kind of that
Okay.
Southern badass that
Yeah.
But going back to the film, yeah, it was good going into it kind of blank, because then I could do my own take on it, because am I allowed to say who I play? Kind of.
Sure. I
Okay.
mean, yeah.
Yeah,
Go for it.
Because I play the boyfriend of this. I'm going to the girlfriend's house, and
Mhm.
he's kind of clueless as to what's going to happen, as all the
Mhm.
victims of the Scream movies are. So it kind of worked.
Sure. And I guess I'll go ahead and lay out some of the
Mhm.
key things we do differently in our Scream film. So typically, if you've seen a Scream film and you've seen one of their cold opens, it's a female character. She's vulnerable. She's unassuming. Pretty female character. And Ghostface comes out after a couple minutes of toying with her over the phone, and what's your favorite scary movie? Kind of thing like that. And we were thinking about how we could make it different. And so what we did was, just like all the rest, we opened with a female character, and we kind of let her run the show for the first probably 2 minutes or so. We want to move through things very quickly here. We're keeping it very concise. And so, what we do is we wrote it and shot it in a way to where the audience thinks she is the protagonist. She's going to be the main character. We have this boyfriend character, Jake, who you play.
Mm-hmm.
And so he's on his way home. He's excited to see her. She's home alone.
Yeah.
He's got some flowers. He's ready for a fun night. And so, he's the unassuming character.
Yeah.
He's the one, he's a puppy dog. He just wants to see his girlfriend. He's kind of like your go-to jock male type. He's
Mm-hmm.
just a dude,
Yeah.
And so, we shoot it in a way to where you really think that, okay, he's going to die before he even gets to the house, gets inside. And,
Yeah.
Now she's going to find the dead boyfriend, just like the first Scream movie, the way it opens, she sees his boyfriend all tied up and then he gets killed. But we want to take it a different direction. So we kind of trick the audience into thinking she's the protagonist and then we kill her. And so, that's something we really wanted to do differently.
Yeah.
And it's kind of having fun. Like you're having fun with the audience. You're having fun with it. It's subverting expectations.
Yeah.
So she's out of the picture pretty quickly. And what you have instead is this kind of more masculine character who you don't typically see in these Scream cold opens. I don't think really ever, actually. And you pit him against Ghostface, and he's upset, and he wants revenge, and he's able to kind of retaliate against Ghostface more so than what we've seen before. And it's just kind of having, we got a really fun chase sequence going on.
Yeah.
Just kind of doing some things differently. So that's kind of like the long-winded, explanation.
It's the basic version.
How we did things differently. And so, just having fun with it, just kind of, using Scream as a way to kind of take inspiration and learn from how they did things, but then apply our own, give it a twist. It's like, I've always said, when you want to remake something, give it some intention, like give it a point, like find meaningful ways to do this thing differently and put your own spin on it. And that's what we did. So I guess I'm curious from you, and you have no background with Scream.
Yeah.
But how did you approach this project from the onset, and kind of, what do you like? What was your game plan with this Jake character?
Going back to the no experience with Scream thing, a specific example is the scaredy cat that I am. When we were filming a scene where it's my reaction to seeing him for the first time, I haven't seen the guy in the costume yet, at least that day, and we rolled and he busts through the door and I about shit my pants, dude. That scream was real. And like you'll see it. But yeah, it was what was extend on your question. Sorry, I was kind of explaining. I was thinking about this.
I guess I'm just
part.
curious, so you have the script in your hands, and you're reading through this Jake character. What was your kind of your first takeaway, your first couple takeaways from the script, and what was, going into shooting, how did you approach the Jake character?
Well, since I haven't seen any of the Scream movies, the closest thing he reminded me to was, I can't remember his name, but he was the guy I was playing as in The Quarry when we were playing.
Was it Joe in The Quarry? I can find out. Here, we'll come back around to that.
Yeah, it was kind of the jock archetype guy. In that game, the interactive story mode game, The Quarry, that came out. 2K made it not too long ago. It was a decent amount of time ago.
Yes. So The Quarry is, if you've heard of Until Dawn, this is kind of the follow-up to that. Now they have their Dark Picture anthology games, Supermassive Games developed it, but we have the character that he's referring to is, if I can get to him, Jacob, another J name.
That's it.
Yeah, Jacob. Jacob's funny, but yeah, just kind of like that big, bally, jock type kind of guy.
Yeah, and so that's who I kind of thought of it as, and Jake's a more confident person than I am naturally, so it was kind of different. Like even there's a scene of me walking up to the house, and I change the way I walk, and it automatically helps with the performance. Like, I land on my heels, and your back is just more upright, chest out, and like it's just stuff like that.
Whatever you got to do to get into that mode.
Exactly.
You know,
Yeah.
that Jake
And
mode.
then normally, like, and there's some yelling scenes, and I never. It takes a lot for me to get seriously mad like that, like, and yell.
Mhm.
And so it took a few tries for me to actually, because I haven't heard myself yell like that before, or at least not in a long time. So I had to actually figure it out for myself first, then what I wanted it to sound like. Because sometimes it just sounded like and then I had to, like, comes from the gut,
Gotta
but
pull that out.
yeah. So
When's the
and-
last time you actually yelled? Like actually yelled? You can think of.
dude?
It's been a minute.
Yeah.
It's been a long
I
time.
literally don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you're just not a yeller then. You just, So you really had to get into that Jake mode to
Yeah.
really, pull that out, because that's just not who you are as your default, So you had to kind of
Yeah, man.
pull that out for
Yeah.
sure.
In simpler terms, I would never wear a chain any day of my life.
Oh, dude.
And he wears
Yeah.
one.
He-
If that
he
makes
came
it
out-
easier for you to understand.
He changed into his costume, and he's wearing these
yeah, and I
he's wearing
walked
these
out of the
freaking,
bathroom.
blue skinny jeans, ripped at the knees, with his skin tight t-shirt and chain.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, this is not the Jarrett that I know.
Yeah.
Like,
I'll see if I can
what
find a
happened?
picture to put up.
Yeah.
Last episode I said I was going to put images up, and I ended up not doing it. So, but this
Yeah.
time I will. So.
Yeah, we'll get some of those. But
Yeah.
yeah, it was kind of weird seeing you look that way. Not gonna lie.
It felt weird. I was like,
I mean, you looked like a douchebag,
I know.
which is great. That's what we wanted. So it worked.
Yeah.
So maybe, I guess the takeaway here is that it's easier for you to look like a douchebag than you thought.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks, Jack.
There you
Fake it
so
till you
yeah,
make it.
And then when you got on set, so I mean, you kind of had something you could pull this Jake character from, like some other examples
Yeah.
out in the wild. But when you got on set, how would you say, like, what was your approach on the day?
So I was eager to get on set because this is the first thing I've done that we've all done in a while. You guys have done separate things, but I haven't, like, acted in something or been a lead actor in something in a while. So it was cool for me to kind of, like, not feel important, but like
Oh, you're the talent.
yeah,
you're the
like
actor,
I gotta like do a good job.
I mean, on
like-
set, if you're unfamiliar with how a set works, how the dynamic between cast and crew, the actors are definitely put on a bit of a pedestal, and and that makes sense. They have to be in their zone, they have to be ready to perform, and it's just different than being part of the crew, and so I think there's definitely, we wanted to provide an environment for where you could kind of get into character and not really have to worry about much else.
Yeah.
You know.
And I was wanting, like, a sense of professionalism, and it was everything. Like,
That's great.
especially, like, since we're just shooting in my dad's house, but it felt like a functioning set, even to just the clicks in your guys' terminology, and in between set changes, it was just like I was kind of just, like, figuring out what I wanted to do, and, like, going back to what we were saying is when the director was giving me notes, it's like I know what I have to do. It's just
Sure.
relative to music, I got to do it a few times to get into it. And I think everyone's like that
Sure,
to
yeah.
something. But yeah, it felt really good to know I was working hard towards something, and that's why I think I like acting, is because, or at least wanting to get into it, is because it gives me a chance to like chisel at and refine what I'm trying to convey. And like, there's a lot of actors that just, like, bullshit what they're saying in an interview. So it's like, yeah, it's like
It's like checking boxes instead of actually.
yeah, it really just depends on what you're doing. Like, there's
Yeah.
some like sound really methodical when they're trying to answer an acting question. It's just like, I'm just trying to do my best. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
plain and simple. Like, so
Well, it's great to hear you say that you felt like there was that level of professionalism on set, and really it was, and we're all young, we're all wanting to get more experience and grow into this industry. And for Moid Entertainment, it's myself, and we have my two other friends and co-owners as well. and then we had some other people on as well, kind of helping out. And
Yeah.
some mutual friends and whatnot.
Mhm.
And so it wasn't a very large production. I mean, I think at most we had 7 or 8 people
Yeah.
in the house shooting. But
And from previous times, like when we did -1, the feature film in high school, it was like we all were kind of doing stuff. And even though I was, speaking of director, there he is,
oh, there it is.
the man himself. But I was either doing audio or I was helping Dayton with camera, and I was just like kind of getting told to do something. And it's like, this gave me a chance to, like, I was like, I'm acting. This is what I'm doing.
Mhm.
Let me do this.
Absolutely, and that's how it should be.
And
you
it
know?
gave me a chance to actually focus on it and not have to say, oh, it was really nice to just focus on one thing.
Well, I'm glad you had that
And
experience.
so-
You know, I mean, that's something we definitely want to offer every time.
Yeah.
You know, and I think now we're at a point where we've met enough people and we've networked
Yeah.
and we've done enough projects to where we can pull people
Yeah.
in to kind of fill those roles, and that leaves you a spot
Exactly.
to really focus on your craft.
Yeah.
You know.
And it was what's the word? Not refreshing, but it was relieving to hear from some of the crew members, because I was like, I'm not a professional paid actor, union act, you know what I mean? Like, so it was good to hear from them that, like, I was doing good and I was like working, like, seemed to be working hard. But it was, sorry, Tanner keeps texting me. It was good to hear that. And the girl who plays the girlfriend, Peyton, she goes to the acting school that Dayton and I are on the waiting list for. And she walked in the house. I was like, no shit. Like, that's a small world. Like,
we've worked with a lot of actors from this school you're trying to get into. Which is really cool. I mean, it's just it's insane how much it's such a small world in this industry. More than you think. And we've met people like, oh, I know you from this, and it's like, oh, you go to this school too, and it's kind of cool. And it's just meeting more and more people, especially our age. It's just so much fun, because it's like we're all growing into this industry together. I know on set, Tanner, our director, who's spam calling us right now, trying to figure out some things last minute. For the
Tanner,
next,
leave me alone, please.
yeah, for the next shooting day, because we're having to add that additional day and wrap it up. The way you have it set up on a film set is you'll have typically a screen or a monitor or television. With a wireless signal from the camera, so that director can see. He can be kind of off in his own little corner, and he's able to kind of watch.
And the fact that we have
take.
that on our sets now.
Yes, it's
like,
so much fun.
And like, yeah, it's even the way he says cut, I can tell when I would mess up, and I'm like, shit. But it was good to have that instant feedback, not only from him, but for me to actually see what I'm doing.
Yeah,
and like, sure. I don't need an explanation. I can see what I'm doing. Like,
yeah, it's great. And typically, it's called Video Village. That's where all the monitors are, and director and script supervisor and everyone else, who needs to see what the camera sees.
Yeah.
But doesn't need to be directly on set. They can do that. And I was back there with them for a couple takes, and he looked at me and he was like, "Man, I want to do this for the rest of my life."
Oh, I saw him say that too.
And it's just
he was like,
it was just so cool. He's like, "I want to make movies," and it's just at our age, the fact that we're in this position and we're doing it. Like it's not like, I'm just so happy that these past few days have just been a great example and just kind of a reminder of like, look what we get to do. And look also where we're at for our age level, and eventually what we're gonna do is we're gonna play the finished film here on the podcast, and we'll talk about.
We're gonna have a special episode for it.
Yeah,
kind of a breakdown episode.
Might have a guest on. We'll see. We're still kind of ironing that out.
And it's just it's weird because we have like these like heights of like Marvel movies. You have all your Sony productions. You have Universal. All these high level films that we are comparing to, and like it's cool to see at our age. Like we're like, it looks good from what I've seen last night. It looks good. Like, it looks like something that could go somewhere. And I'm really hoping it gains traction.
We're always growing. We're always learning. We're always improving.
Yeah.
And I guess I also want to hear from you while we're on this topic.
Mhm.
You know, you were on set in high school.
Mm-hmm.
What, starting sophomore year?
Yeah.
Yeah, you were a sophomore in high school, and you were shooting a feature film as an actor, and you were also helping out on set because it just
Mhm.
kind of required it. Just the amount of people.
Yeah.
Yeah, you were trying to do a lot with a small amount of people.
Yeah. This was my
Um,
first acting thing.
So I'm curious, this production that we're working on now, how far do you think we've come from -1, the feature film, to where we are now? Like from an on-set
It's
perspective.
night and day.
Night and day?
Like, because there's in that movie, I don't like to dwell on talking about it so much because we like literally spent years talking about this
Yeah.
one movie, but we originally had it as a TV show, then we transitioned it to a movie, and then we were obligated to change the ending than what we wanted. So you can kind of see the different looks in it, and it gets progressively better as the characters are progressing. So I guess you could say that's kind of cool.
Sure.
But
And as the talent behind the scenes also
yes,
progressed as well.
it's kind of a double meaning, I would say, but it's night and day. Like just not only set professionalism, but even like kudos to like Dayton, who I've known since like the 3rd grade, but he's our cinematographer and assistant director, whatever. He has a lot on his shoulders.
He's our
but
DP, so
yeah.
so DP, director of photography. So
yeah,
anything visual,
Yeah.
that's his area.
Yeah.
He's in charge of,
So-
of lighting and
Mhm.
all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So
and it was good for him to have some help on set this time.
yeah.
And we're trying to get him more.
Well, I
toward-
think as our goals become higher
We
and
need more
higher,
and more.
and we want to achieve better and better things,
Mhm.
it requires more
yeah,
people. It requires more hands on set, and people we
Yeah.
can we can have at a moment's notice to get
Yeah.
this done, because it's got to happen now. It's got we on set, things got to happen
Yeah.
fast. So
and like even then we had a decent amount of people, but then again we were all high schoolers with
Yeah.
obligations during the day and night, depending on what you're doing, and limited experience, and it's like when you go back and read old text messages, you're like, oh, I wouldn't say that now. It's
Yeah.
exact same thing.
That's
Exact same
funny.
thing.
It's just because
Like-
I wasn't on set for -1 very much.
Yeah.
It's just cool to hear from you, kind of in your own words, how you feel like we've progressed.
I mean,
from that point.
Let
to
me put
now.
it this way: I don't remember shit from high school.
Oh my goodness.
I'm young, but my memory is like horrible.
Oh my
like
gosh.
I'm like a goldfish. But when I think of high school, that's all I remember doing. Like
Yeah.
is that movie, and like I didn't really. It felt like I was working towards something, not only like just for the movie getting made, but
Mhm.
figuring out what I want to do, because I knew I wanted to do music, but it probably won't work out as a career. I'm not gonna say it won't, but it's just
I never say never.
I gotta think realistically, and who knows? Maybe they'll work in tandem one day. But
Sure.
that's the goal. But yeah, it was night and day. Like in conclusion, like
That's really cool.
Uh,
That's cool to hear.
and then we did a short film called The Living Bible. That was my first lead thing we did, and that was a project junior year. So this was in the middle of filming that movie too.
Mm-hmm.
So we were filming 2-3 things at once, like depending on what it was, what month.
Yeah.
And so we did that, and we were just doing it for a project, and it turned out to be one of the better written things. Me and Dayton wrote it. That was the first thing I ever like helped write,
Wow.
and that was probably the last thing I helped write. But yeah, and that turned out pretty good. Compared to that, it was
Yeah.
in terms of quality, it was in between the beginning and -1 and the end. It was closer towards the end. I still that was the first lead acting thing I did, so it was kind of rough. But visually and chronologically, it was good.
Awesome.
So, and you can definitely tell when we release this film, you can tell it's more grown up.
Continue on with your conversation. You were talking about Living Bible and some of the older projects. I really want to keep that going for a little bit longer before we move on.
Okay. What did I end on?
Well, you were just talking, because we were talking about -1 and kind of like
Yeah.
how we've progressed from -1 to now, and you had mentioned kind of like the Living Bible.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, I mean, even as far as like we have like a more professional crew feeling now, because when we were filming -1, we had a bunch of people who were just doing it for the credit.
well, you were high schoolers.
yeah,
You know.
and like didn't really give a shit. Like at least
Yeah.
half of them were like that. They didn't give two shits. But now we have a group full of people dedicated to completion of a project. And
Yeah, well,
passionate.
as we've graduated from high school and we've grown up,
Mhm.
and and it's been a couple of years since we were all together in that way.
Yeah.
The people who have stuck around are the people who want to create, and
Yeah.
they want to make things happen. So I think now we're as adults, we're in a position where we're working with good people, level-headed people, people with a sense of responsibility
Yeah.
that you have to have on a film set. And it's just it's night and day, you
Yeah.
know.
I mean, how would I want to get your opinion, Jack? Like, I know I asked you in the car, but I guess for the sake of the camera and maybe a different way of saying it, as a non-paid professional, like union actor, like how do you think I would do on, say, a next step up of, just production type set or something more professional, like in time, like
I think you'll do great. I think you will do just fine. I think when you're put in a position where you are challenged and you are you will rise to meet
mm-hmm.
each project as it comes your way, because every project's different, and so as the projects you choose to take and the experiences you have as they become bigger, bolder, and more in depth, I think each project you will match that. And I think the more you're challenged and the bigger projects you take, the better actor you will become. And I think really what it is, it's not about like, okay, you have to reach a certain threshold
Mm-hmm.
to call yourself an actor. I think you're an actor, and I think every project you take, you become a better actor.
Yeah.
And I think that's just kind of the way you have to look at it, and the more you're challenged and the more you do, you will always be learning and you will always be a better actor,
Yeah.
because you're always performing, you're always doing
Mhm.
something new,
And it's weird. I don't call myself one yet, and we were just talking about this before filming. It's like aspiring, and maybe I should do what you're saying. And even though I've been playing guitar and singing and making music since I was, or at least attempting to make music since I was like 12, like I still don't call myself a musician because like
Mhm.
it. I don't know. Maybe it's just a me being a not non-confident thing, something like that. Or I guess it's because I have
Imposter syndrome. You ever heard of that?
yes,
Yeah.
maybe. That very well. But yeah, that was good to hear. And I mean, yeah.
I mean, look, I look at you and I see an actor and I see a musician, and maybe I'm not quite as embroiled in that world as you are, so maybe I'm gonna have a different perspective.
Yeah.
But I think I think you are an actor and a musician, and I think the more that you write music, and the more you play, and the more you act, and the more projects you take, you're gonna become a better actor and a better musician.
Yeah.
As time goes
Thanks.
on. So.
Yeah, and going back to like acting is really what I want to do, but it's kind of challenging because, for example, when Dayton and I went to this acting school, you're in a room full of extroverts, and it's like because that's majority of who actors are, and it's like I am a very I'm not as introverted as what I used to be, but it's just like whoa, like calm down, let me get used to the room
You're
first.
walking into a room full of theater
Like
kids,
I got to take things one step at a time. And he was like, dude, that was whoa. So it's kind of weird being like that, but also wanting to be an actor.
Mhm.
Also unrelated, it's like how my biggest fear is like deep dark oceans where I can't see underneath me or around me, but yet I want to get scuba certified and go like
Sure.
in coral reefs in Hawaii and stuff like that again. But it's kind of a challenge. Because it's like it's kind of like, oh man, that's kind of nerve wracking. Like, just anything like that. Like, just going to check out the school, I was like, I had to go with Dayton because I was like, dude, I want to make sure like I want to do this. Like,
Sure.
even like 2 nights ago, I was like, is it like when we first started filming, I was like, is this really what I want to do? And, I mean, as the night went on, it was like, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And look, there's no one path to being an actor.
No.
There's no one personality you have to have
Yeah.
to be an actor. I mean, you get to decide what you want to do and how you forge your own path. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? and it's I couldn't do it. I mean, it's like walking into a room. We all know the theater kids from high school. you know,
I actually did theater in middle school,
I did
and
theater.
I
No,
it's not for me.
I didn't gel. I didn't gel with those people. I mean, look, hey, great people. Don't
Yeah.
get me wrong. I just
For me, it
it's
was
not my
just like
personality.
they're like, at least when we're doing acting, it's like you guys give me space to figure it out. Or it's like with doing theater, it's like everyone's around you,
in
like
your face the whole time.
and it's like holy fucking shit. Like
yeah, and
just,
it's
like
just very loud, bombastic people because they have to be.
But you know what?
They feel like they have to be.
Like, look at Andrew Garfield. He does both, and he's
yeah.
fucking phenomenal at both of them. Like
Mhm.
there's a very small percentage that can do that.
I think it's funny that we're comparing people in acting school to theater kids in high school. Do you feel like that comparison is valid? Like, do you feel like that's pretty accurate?
I don't think I'm experienced enough to give an answer on that.
But the reason I ask this is because on film, through a camera lens,
Yeah.
it requires a certain level of subtlety
Yeah.
that you can't approach a film the same way you approach the stage, because on stage you have to be very loud and you have to be very expressive, sweeping hand motions, kind of like super loud, and then but when it doesn't work on camera. On camera, you have to communicate entire emotions through your eyes, and through your gaze, and through the subtleties that you see what I'm saying?
Yeah. And just for the sake of saying this before we get started, I don't like it's all personal preference on which one you want to do. One isn't better than the other.
Of course.
This is just based off our experiences,
Yes.
and especially when, like I was telling him, like my answer is going to be different than his, and then my answer is going to be different than you watching. Like, so at least from experience, what I can say is when we were doing -1 and we would have the theater and performing arts students doing plays coming and filming, it was almost more challenging than getting someone that didn't act at all.
There's never acted.
Now that depends per person,
of course,
experience level, but like in certain cases it was like, okay, this is good.
You're having to like retrain somebody
exactly
because they're all they're told is you have to be big and you have to be bold, and you the people in the very back of that auditorium have to be able to
understand. And that's what I was told when I was that's one thing I was told is when I was doing it. Now there are certain plays that they still want you to have film type persuasion to the audience, like obviously Shakespeare isn't like that. That's a very that was made for the stage. That wasn't made for a camera. So but now with like modern plays and stuff like that, like especially on Broadway, you can there's some where they want you to kind of be in a fine line somewhere in between both. But film is very more at least from again experience and what I've seen, it's very to a T, and it's all about subtleness. And whereas in a stage you have, when you're performing for somebody, you got one take and that's what you're doing. Whereas with this, that shot we did, I was telling you in the beginning of the episode, I felt like shit because it took 8 or 9 times for me to get it, for all of us to get it. Then again, that was the most difficult thing to shoot that night. But still, like, they both have their challenges in upbringing, so that's not the right word, and their benefits.
Just how they're trained to act. It's just it is different types of acting. And something that I find interesting too is how a lot of the time you think about the Oscars and what they're looking at, the Academy when they're choosing what acting are we going to recognize formally, and those films that come out and it's like, oh, these are the Oscar bait films. These are the films they're gonna try and get the nominations. And when it comes to acting and performances, it's like I think of like big yelling, like arguing scenes, and like people like getting upset and being loud. You know what I mean? Like it seems like see what I'm saying? It's like those are the kind of scenes that seem to draw attention. It's like that's great acting. Like if you're just overwhelmed with emotion and you're screaming at someone and like but it's like I feel like subtle acting is sometimes underlooked and,
Yes.
and underappreciated. You know?
Less is more.
Yes,
That's an
sometimes less
example.
is more, and I think
And this is kind of going off of what you were saying, but now where we have movies filled with CGI, you have actors in these uh, warehouses filled with green screens and tennis balls
Mhm.
you're looking at, and like it sucks because I mean they're doing good for having nothing around them and being told to cry at a tennis ball or something, like, you know what I mean? So I give them credit for that. That was just a challenge I was thinking of going back to um,
Hmm.
prior years in films. It's just uh, like last night we have a scene where I'm pretending to open a window and gaze out of it, and it's like that's nothing compared to that. But
Yeah.
you get a sense of like that's where your job comes in. And speaking of jobs, it's like when you say you have a bad script, or not necessarily a bad script, a script that you either are challenged with or you don't agree with, and it's like the school we went to, a lot of the students were like saying, "Oh, this script is like it's so weird," and it's just like, well, that's your job to get around it, figure it out. Like that's the whole reason you're here, is to make this work. This
Mhm.
script is just a base of what we want. Now there are some directors that, like Scorsese, they don't want improv. They want just follow it. Like, but I kind of went off track, but I thought those were some good points.
Yeah, no,
So
I hear what you're saying, and yeah, and sometimes, in television especially, television, very hectic schedule, especially, the television landscape,
that have a deadline.
television landscape has shifted a lot in the past decade or so.
Yeah.
And I think it's a mixture of streaming and, how, we're no longer confined to, okay, you have to have 22, 23 episodes a season that are all exactly 45 minutes long. And you have to write and perform according to those those confines. And I think too, British television has really impacted the way that we in America have this changed the landscape a lot. And so I think while it has shifted, I think there is definitely it's still a very hectic schedule and whatnot. And I know there are lots of times on a television set where it's like you're handed a script and it's like, okay, well, this doesn't make sense to me,
Mhm.
like what do we do about this as an actor? And it's like, well, this episode's got to be shot in 3 days, and and you got to make it work. And so I think sometimes as an actor, you have
Yeah.
to, even if it sounds like it doesn't make sense or it doesn't sound right
Yeah.
upon delivery, it's like you got to
Yeah.
find a way to make it work.
Yeah, an example is like when we were doing the complicated shot, like I have to yell, "I love her," but it sounded cringy because it's just like at least the way I was saying it, and I was like, "Tanner, I don't know," and he's like, and then it's like, and we just did it again, and I just time shortening throughout the night,
Mhm.
daylight's coming, so I just try and figure out a different way to say it, say it longer, say it shorter, just something, try it. Like, I mean, that's what you have to do. Especially last night, we were fighting daylight.
Yeah, we're all tired and it's 4 a.m. and
Yeah.
that's just part of the process for this.
But yeah, I
short,
mean, but in
so.
the end, we got it.
We did. When we have our special episode where we go over,
Yeah, we've
specifics,
talked about it enough. Yeah.
we'll actually break down and you'll see on screen the shots we're talking about, and it'll be easier to understand
Yeah.
what we're discussing. But I'm looking forward to that. It's gonna be a lot of fun when we kind of go into specifics.
Yeah.
I guess changing things up a little bit.
Yeah.
This was just revealed,
Dude,
actually, and what's funny is
the news just broke before we went to dinner previously, before we started filming this.
Yeah, we went
News
out to
broke
eat and came back.
as we were leaving. So this is, at least from when the day we're recording this is fresh.
Well, I remember.
News.
What's funny is we both read the news at the same time.
Same time.
Except I was in your bathroom because I
Yeah.
said, "Hey, Jared, I have to go use your bathroom," and you were sitting at your desk.
That's the PG version of how you said it.
Yeah. It is. And so I'm sitting on the toilet and I read this news, and so finally, after many months of speculation on who was going to be cast, James Gunn announces the two leading roles for Superman Legacy.
Yes, the first DCU film from James Gunn's slate.
Yes, I
Yeah.
believe so.
Yeah.
Because I think there's some television shows.
Well,
and some other
technically,
things.
Blue Beetle. Like this is the first.
We'll see.
You think so?
I mean, it's like kind of counting,
Okay,
but like
okay.
kind of not.
But
I don't know.
You know what I mean? Superman's big, so
Yeah.
like
And this is one that, James Gunn has a lot of responsibilities on his plate as
Mhm.
as the CEO of DC Studios now.
Yeah.
But he is writing and directing Superman
yeah.
Legacy.
This is his passion
So,
project.
This is
One of
something
them.
he's very directly involved in. So, we have our names. We have our Clark Kent and we have our Lois Lane. So, and we'll have some information on screen, I'm sure.
Yeah.
David Cornsweet. He is someone that I'd never heard of.
Yeah.
But he's playing Clark Kent.
Me neither. This is our new Superman actor.
Yeah.
I saw a scene of, I don't know what it was from, but he was in some type of military formal uniform, and he was talking with this advisor type person, and
Mhm.
it sounded very Clark Kent. It sounded yeah, I get why. I get why now.
So they're going with someone younger. They're
Yeah.
going with definitely a bit of an unknown here.
Mm-hmm.
He's not been in a lot of things. I have his IMDb page pulled up right now. And yeah, he's in a couple television shows and like a handful of episodes. I think
Mhm.
not a whole lot of high profile projects. So this is definitely going to be a big career bump for him.
Yeah,
And
and
so-
which is, I mean, that's what Marvel did with Avengers.
Yeah.
Nobody knew who Chris Hemsworth was.
Oh, dude. A
Uh,
lot of these people. I mean, even,
Chris Evans was just
dude,
on the rise.
even Chris Pratt. Now he was
Yeah.
in Parks and Rec, but I mean
Yeah.
that was like Star-Lord was Chris Pratt's big
Yeah,
massive thing.
and like Tom Hiddleston.
yeah,
Like RDJ was recently having drug issues, and this was his big redemption as Iron Man. So getting fresh faces is, at least based on record, a good sign.
yeah, for
like-
sure. So yeah, this is gonna be big for him. His filmography is not the most extensive. I'm excited. Let's see what they got. I'm open to it.
Yeah,
Lois Lane is Rachel Brosnan. I believe is how you say that.
I told him I think it's Brosnan. Like,
Oh, I don't know. The
like the
silent
Bond
H
actor.
is throwing me off. She has a little bit more going on. She is the lead in The Marvelous Miss Maisel, the Amazon Prime original show, which I have not seen.
I haven't seen that either.
But it's people love it. It's a pretty big show, and she just a lot of other things. I mean, she's been acting for a little while longer, I think. But yeah, I mean, I think she can pull off the Lois Lane
Yeah,
look.
when I saw their two headshots, I was like, yeah, I could see it. And then I was like, man, I mean, Henry Cavill's my guy. Like he's my
Mhm.
Superman.
Yeah, he's great.
But then I literally saw I've been seeing posts for the past day or two that the 007 Bond producers, because that's actually in the creators. That's actually a family. They own all the rights to James Bond.
the
So
estate, right?
yes,
Yeah.
so they have control over everything and who they want to act when it comes out. Everything goes to them
Wow.
through them, and they said,
That sounds like hell for the studio.
oh, I know,
That's gotta be awful.
dude. They said that Henry Cavill's audition tape was tremendous, like in quotes. So, and I've been wanting to see Henry Cavill as Bond for like years. Like, I love Daniel Craig as Bond, but like, dude, when I think of James Bond, I think of black hair, broad, charming. That's what I think of, and Henry Cavill would do great, in my opinion.
And I feel like he's at a point now in his career where he's kind of aged
Yeah.
into that a little
Yeah.
bit more. So he's a little bit older, and I think he could do a good job.
Yeah.
We'll see. Well, I mean, hey, a man can dream.
Heck yeah. And going back to like when we were talking about fresh faces and stuff, so there is a agency that I follow on Instagram. I believe it's called Jackson Entertainment Agency. It's got like a white logo. Have you seen Outer Banks, Jack?
Not
Okay.
My mom and brother watch it.
Okay. So the blonde actor that plays JJ, he is signed with them, I believe, still, because they're
Hmm.
still posting his stuff. Um, and he's one of their bigger clientele. I believe they got him that show. Don't quote me on any of this, but at least from what I've been following is that that's the first thing I've seen him in was Outer Banks, and that's a show that got a lot of traction when it first came out. I love the first season and the second season. I haven't seen the third season yet, but and then after that, we went to go see Uncharted, and he was Tom Holland's Nathan Drake's brother in the beginning.
Oh,
that's who that is. Yeah. So he went from this to that.
That's a big break.
And I was like, that's a good jump. So that's an agency I'm following for that reason.
Hey, there you go.
So hello, Jackson Entertainment. Yeah, and it's cool noticing things like that with smaller actors, seeing them like, and now he's got his own show coming out where he's starring in. It's just like, it's so cool to see people doing good and acting, because it's like when you go to an audition room. Now I haven't done one yet. I've filmed maybe a audition tape or two, and I have like a reel and stuff. But you go in a room and it's like 10, 15 dudes that look just like you. And it's like, well, shit. Like Ryan Gosling said it pretty good. I watched his interview on it, and it's just like, well,
what am I supposed to do?
Exactly.
Yeah.
How am I going to make this different from, like, this makes it 10 to 15 times more complicated than what I previously thought.
Sure.
Back to what you were saying. Sorry, I thought that was a good point to bring up.
No, yeah, that was great.
But
I think we'll have to just kind of wait and see what's happening with Superman Legacy and with James Gunn as plan. Yeah. I'm gonna put my trust in him.
Yeah,
we'll see. Look, we can only go up from here, right? Right? Fingers crossed. I mean, like, we can't get worse, right? I mean, The Flash is a bomb, and that movie was expensive.
I saw it recently. I saw it. It was fun. The beginning of the movie I enjoyed way more than the rest of it. And this is in the trailer, so I'm going to talk about this. You've seen the trailer, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so I mainly enjoyed it. Now, I don't know how you guys feel on Batfleck, Batman, but he had his blue accented suit that was more tactical in like the scene where he jumps from the helicopter and he's like doing on his bike. Like that I loved. And they made this Batman better than the Justice League Batman in like 10 minutes. Like, at least in my opinion. I know there's a lot of backlash to this Flash movie. And so I'm trying to bring out the things I liked about it. And I did like that, and it's like, oh man, we're not gonna I don't know if we're gonna see him again. Like but I'm glad they're keeping I'm glad they did that, because it was nice seeing him in that light. Like, he was more of an experienced, I mean, obviously he was like a old battered down Batman in Justice League and Snyder Cut, but this was like he was almost coming out of that darkness a little bit, and he was kind of more witty a little bit, he make a joke every now and then, something like that.
Sure.
It was just nice seeing that. The opening minutes was good, and then from some of the statements I've seen, Keaton carried this movie. Like, and
you agree with that?
In some people's it was pretty good seeing Keaton. I'm not gonna lie, it was pretty good. And the I don't know her last name, but Sasha, the girl who played Supergirl, I think I may have fell in love, but she did really good. Like, because the comic that's based on is they find a very skinny Clark Kent that's been kept in this Russian base that like he cannot leave, and he is like on the edge of dying. Like, they barely like keep him alive, keep him powered down. And that's how she is when she comes out of this, and in the trailer and everything like that. And but they took a little bit different of a take on it, and that's a lot of things I've seen where people don't like about it, is because like you've got comic book fans that want everything comic accurate to a T, but it's like with Marvel comics, if you make Marvel comics into a movie, it's gonna be cringy as shit. Like it just depends. Like, in my opinion, like DC ones are better than Marvel ones. It depends. But so you kind of, I get why they change things now in all these Marvel movies, in DC movies, and any superhero interpretation of a already made title into a movie.
Yeah.
So, but I thought it
Sure.
was fun. I can understand why it bombed, especially with some of the CGI backlash. I can confirm it was not great. Like I said, the opening 10 minutes was some of the best footage. And the Keaton stuff was really good. But it looks like that's where most of it went.
Gotcha.
And I know there was a lot of reshoots on this. Don't quote me on that. There was some reshoots on this movie, like every movie has.
Mhm.
And then obviously Ezra's drama certainly
I
didn't
mean,
help
yeah,
this
there was
movie.
there was a lot of drama.
Did not help. So,
Yeah.
But you know, they still technically made more money than if they were to put it on HBO Max or to not release it at all. But
Yeah. That's true.
I guess they just did what they got. Like, I mean, I wouldn't know what to do in that situation.
I mean, you're mostly through production, or they may have already wrapped production at that point.
It was almost
one
done.
of the two, and it's like, all these allegations come out, and it turns out he's a piece of shit, and it's like, okay, well, we just shot the entire movie, what are we supposed to do?
And then he shows
So
up
it's
for the first
just-
time in 2
yeah,
years at the premiere, and it's
I wouldn't wish that upon anyone. Any directors, any studio.
I commend them for
yeah,
working with what they had.
yeah, for
As
sure.
much backlash as they got. And like I was talking to someone at work who was just like thrashing on this thing. I was like, dude, I'm just glad the movie got made and it was like decent. Like I still appreciated the movie because I'm a Flash guy. I like Flash, but
Sure.
I like those Woody characters like Spider-Man. He's like we've talked about every episode now, but and then DC, Flash and Batman are my guys. But
Very cool.
But yeah, that's my opinion on the Flash movie. Would I go see it again? Probably not. I had a hard time wrapping my head around it because I'm not a huge fan of multiverse movies because I'll just go beginning to end.
What
Like,
happened to old-fashioned movies that weren't?
I know,
confusing?
like, oh my god, it's like Marvel
Mm.
like going like. Anyway,
Okay, let's just go ahead and throw it out there. Neither of us have been doing very good with our music segment,
Yeah,
where we give each
no.
other albums and we listen to them because we have not been listening to them very
Yeah.
well.
I'm also
but
super tired from shooting, so
yeah, it's been a busy little while for us.
Yeah.
We promise, Jarrett. We promise. Okay, we promise we're gonna do better about this. And Jarrett will listen to whatever I make him listen to.
and you as well,
Yes.
and you will
yes.
actually send me the music this time.
Yes, I swear. I will send it to you live on the podcast.
Okay.
And guess what, Jarrett? I have my album picked out, so I can send it to you right now as I reveal
Okay.
what it is.
I have my album for you as well.
Okay. I am gonna have you listen to "Hopes and Fears" by Keane. Keane, if you have not heard of them, which when you listen to this album, you're gonna recognize at least one song. You have to.
Yeah.
They're contemporary, sort of alternative rock
Okay.
that were really big in the early 2000s. This is their debut album. It's just a really like nice breezy listen.
Mhm.
A lot of great sound. It's like comfort food. I don't know. It just check it out. I think it'll make sense when you listen to it. So I'm gonna send that to you right now, and I'm curious what you got for me, my friend.
All right. Well, this is actually a new album for me too. I started listening to it. So, I believe I showed you them, but Every Time I Die,
Yes.
Metal.
Yes.
So that they are no longer a band. If you were if you follow them, yeah, it's very
This
sad.
is bad news. For fans. I'm sorry.
Yeah, this is kind of old news, but the band, this is not related to music. The band actually, besides the singer, got back together and they're making, I believe the guitar player's singing now.
Well, that was a bait and switch.
Yeah, I know. It's actually pretty good. But this album is before that, and it is the singer from Every Time I Die, and I believe it's whatever. I'm sorry, I'm so tired, I don't remember. But it's the singer from Every Time I Die,
Mhm.
and they made this hard rock album. It's not quite metal, and you get it's a chance to hear his vocals instead of his, so. It's the band is called it looks like Ironclad, but there's an I in between it, so I don't know how to say it. or is that the album name? The Damned Thing.
Oh,
Yeah,
The
no, the band's called The
Damned.
Damned Things. I'm a fucking idiot.
The
Okay.
damned. The
Yes,
damned.
The Damned Things.
Plural damned. Okay,
Yes,
thanks.
this is what it looks like.
Whoa. That's kind of scary, man.
Dude. Yeah, it is now that
Is that Skeleton George Washington?
It looks like it.
I think it is.
But it is it's a hard rock album. I've been listening to it in the gym, but I also can listen to it in the car.
Yes, you can, because it is a free country.
Sure. Yeah. But yeah, I like this album so far. I haven't listened to it all the way. I'm probably about halfway through.
What if the second half's really bad and you didn't know? 'Cause you didn't
Well,
hear
you're getting it anyway.
it? Okay, well, if the second half of the album's really bad, then it's your fault.
Okay.
Skeleton George Washington. That's what it looks like, bro.
Yeah,
Well,
man.
Okay, we're going to listen to it, and we are going to come back with intelligent, thoughtful, and informative opinions on these albums.
Yes.
Yeah? Very cool.
I agree.
All right, well, I think that's going to wrap it up for today.
Yeah, I'm gonna go to bed. I'm exhausted. I went to bed at 6:30 this
Joey's,
morning.
Joey's tired. It has been a long couple days for us, so
Yeah,
it's going to
and
be nice to unwind.
We
for a
got
bit.
one day left.
One day more. Yeah, one more day. But yeah, thanks for hanging out with us for an hour or so.
Yep.
I had a lot of fun talking
It
about
was a good talk.
our process and what's going on
It was a
film
good talk.
wise. It was
Maybe
cool.
boring to people who don't do it, but to people who do, you know what's up.
I think it was interesting. I think you need to have more confidence in our storytelling abilities.
I know. On both ends.
Both ends.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, great. Thank you for tuning in, everyone at home. If you exist, hopefully you know some of you.
Okay.
But yeah, great.
That was
Very
it.
cool.
All right. Well, let's go listen to that music, Jack.
Yeah.
And I'm going to bed.